The last time that we covered Stephanie Thompson and Drew Jenkins was actually the first time we ever had, and their story was nothing short of shocking. Being a family of 7 living out of a motel room, 5 of these people being children, and the other 2 parents who were unemployed. But this was far from all they had done. Abandoning their cats, missing child support payments, and using their children to solicit money on the internet. All you need to know about Steph and Drew is that they're terrible parents who have very little motivation to change the situation not only for themselves, but for their children who have no choice but to live this way. But to make it even worse, it's all broadcast to the internet. The squalor of their living conditions, and the petty drama that their parents engage in. Stephanie and Drew's relationship has deteriorated significantly in the past couple months. Stephanie has this weird kind of worship towards Drew, but Drew has that same kind of feeling towards his PS5, and this is a source of conflict between them. Stephanie is jealous of Drew's love for the PlayStation, and will make sad posts about it on her TikTok. Keep in mind he had no job at this point, occasionally doing what they called gig work, meaning he'd go out some nights and DoorDash. But I think this also had the side effect of making Stephanie incredibly paranoid. She knew that Drew had a history of infidelity, and Stephanie was continuing to make these sad posts on various forms of social media, alluding to her and Drew having problems. I may have been the ugly choice, but I will never have you question my loyalty. Usually Stephanie does everything that she can to hype Drew up, acting like she's so lucky to have a baby daddy that sits around all day and plays video games, while they live out of a motel room, most likely in some kind of government program. She wants everyone to believe that Drew is some kind of super dad, and that the reason they're not working is because they want to spend more time with their children. And I wouldn't even care if it was just Stephanie and Drew, it's their choice. But here are the conditions that they are letting their family of 7 live in.
Spend the evening with us while Dad's out doing the gig work. Now see, we kind of remember the whole routine of this thing. Last summer we got this down. We know if Dad's looking like he's having a busy night, it's probably going to be kind of a later dinner. So we start our evening out by having something to just snack on. The kids wanted some waffles and bagels. And I think my oldest had chicken nuggets or something. I don't know. We all just had a little bit of everything. Now, if you watch our videos, you kind of notice I probably go through this laundry on repeat, and it's because I really haven't had the best organization to it. I figured I'd rather have stuff stacked in baskets than have to go through one bucket to try to find one outfit every day. We had these 2 baskets that weren't being utilized, so my idea was to make one bucket of clothes that was kind of the stuff that we don't get to every day, and then use the baskets to sit on top for things that we use more routinely. And this clothes over here is mine, Drew's, and the babies. The 3 older kids actually have drawers here with them. Now, believe it or not, we do this cleanup routine probably 2-3 times a day. Alrighty, after the kids came inside, we did the shower routine, read some books. Now, this works for our family. It doesn't have to work for yours. And we got this down, like I said, last summer. We had dinner pretty late every night, around 9:30, sometimes even 10. Our kids don't crash until pretty late during the summer, and we're okay with that because it works for our family. Okay, bye-bye now.
There's also something very interesting discussed in the beginning of that TikTok briefly. Stephanie says that if it looks like Drew is going to be having a later night doing gig work, then they're just going to have to eat dinner at a later time. She's giving the kids a snack. That basically means that dinner time revolves around Drew. She would rather the kids go longer without dinner so that Drew could have it nice and hot. All of this made me realize that Drew has been very particular about food for a long time. This very warm and lovable post comes to mind, making the breakfast I know he'll eat, because if I don't, he won't eat, and it'll somehow be mine or the kids' fault. It's stuff like this that pops into my head every time that Stephanie tries to act like Drew is some kind of super dad, but in case you forget just how bad of a job he's doing, he'll remind you on his own social media with posts like this. New toy babe got me. because down on the D-pad stopped working. As you can tell, he has his priorities straight. Instead of taking that broken controller as a sign from God to maybe do something about the horrid conditions his family's living in, he just buys a new one, taking that much more away from his family. Drew is doing this while they live in a place so shitty that they have to dry their laundry on the motel fence.
I had a gut feeling that I was going to end up drying all this laundry myself, and that's what ended up happening because the dryers just didn't work at the laundromat. So I did hang up the towels outside because it was literally like 85, 90 degrees outside. And then I came back inside. What I was going to do was just kind of fluctuate the stuff that was outside, take a little bit at a time. But I noticed by the time I got back in, everything was already starting to dry just by laying on the beds. So I spread everything out between a couple of the beds. And then I just put the rest of the towels and everything outside. We shoved everything in the car when it was kind of half dry. And I told Drew, I'll take care of it while you're doing gig work. Don't even worry about it. I'll figure it out. I won't say that didn't throw me off a little bit because I did decide that with that on top of everything else, I wanted to get cleaned up for the night. We were just going to go ahead and do pizza for the night. And our kids swear that they would rather just have frozen pizza in the air fryer than us order pizza. They say it just doesn't even taste good. So, all right.
Stephanie just acts like this is the norm. They've been living this way for quite some time, and it's disturbing how settled in they've become, despite the fact that they are so cramped and often have to move between motels. Stephanie tries to maintain the public perception that everything is fine. They're just in a hard spot. She also acts like it's not their fault. They are just victims of circumstance. But both of them came from middle-class families who provided to them a much better childhood than they are giving any of their children. Stephanie's family in particular has spoken out against her more and more. Her mom has had to make videos before to squash nasty rumors Stephanie has spread about her, and now she'll go on live panels with people to discuss everything, completely shattering this facade that Stephanie is attempting to put up.
Stephanie gets herself in these relationships and she becomes a different person. This isn't my daughter. This is not the person I raised. This is not her. Who she is right now is not her. And it's when she gets in this, she loses herself in these relationships. That's what they do, is they cut their family out of their lives because they want to make her world so small, and they want to make sure that she doesn't have someone she can run to for help, that she's stuck. Her first husband, that was a situation where she met this person. He had told her, that he wasn't, he was a registered, and see, I'm afraid to say those words on TikTok, but we know. He was a registered, and he told her that all that stuff was stuff he'd been accused of, but nobody could really prove. And that he comes from a really, really large family. And it was my brother who did that to my mom, but he'd already been in trouble with the law. So my mom decided to make it me because I wouldn't get in as much trouble. And there was just this list of excuses, and she bought it. Jeremiah Christian Thompson, if you want to know. And when she first brought him to my house for me to meet him, they'd been together for about 3 months before she brought him over to meet me. And what really pissed me off is that she brings him to my house. Her brothers at that time were 7 and 8. And the age of the child he's been with? She didn't tell me that this man had this about him. And she brought him to my home with her younger brothers. So that was the beginning of this really hostile relationship between me and Stephanie and Jeremiah.
Stephanie's relationship with her mom would further deteriorate when she made another terrible claim about her. Stephanie said that her mother was extremely inappropriate towards her as a child, but her story behind it was almost non-existent and reasonings for the accusation vague. So of course, Stephanie's mom and her brother stepped forward to say that this never happened. Her mom in particular was extremely mad that Stephanie would craft a lie of this caliber, which would cause Stephanie to walk back the severity of a lot of her claims, and also claim that she no longer wanted anything to do with her old family. These accusations from Stephanie hold very little water when you look at her history of social media posts. In the past, she spoke very highly of her mother. Never once was this mentioned until now. Of course, after her mother started speaking out against the conditions that her grandchildren were being raised in. From what I've been able to gather, they have not spoken since. But things were not going so well with her new family, aka her 5 children, and Drew, especially Drew. She would continue to post about the relationship problems that they were having, sometimes alluding to Drew being unfaithful. I think that she had grown increasingly paranoid with his gig work, going out late at night to DoorDash. But even though I've talked about it a couple of times, this wasn't something Drew did often. He tried to avoid work almost as much as his child support payments, but not nearly as much as spending time with the kids. It seems like maybe they would ask Drew for things while he was playing video games, and he would make them promises to do it later, just to get them off his back, but very rarely would he deliver. If you need further proof, then look no further than this video I'm about to show you, where Stephanie's children ask her to take them to get food, because Drew had promised them, and the response that Stephanie gives is quite sad.
I was asking where are we gonna get the donuts?
I told you. When are you gonna get used to being disappointed? It's gonna have to be you or me who go get him later. He done made his choice, he's not gonna take you.
What?
I'm sorry.
What a sad thing for a parent to tell their child. You had better get used to getting disappointed. Instead of teaching them that people are naturally supposed to uphold their promises or not make them, she basically tells the kid that they're just going to lie to them, that they should have little to no faith in 2 of the people they expect to take care of them. It's absolutely bleak. Drew could go get donuts 20 times that day. He has that much time on his hands. It seems like the only time when Drew will put in any kind of effort is to get out of working or going to court. The last time that I covered these two, Drew claimed that he had a seizure mysteriously before court, so he couldn't attend. So strange how Drew, who has no history of seizures, suddenly has one right before his child support hearing, where he knows that they're gonna require him to pay one of his other baby mamas. And I'll say this, ever since that's happened, I haven't heard any more of it. It was seemingly a one-time thing, Stephanie claiming the doctors couldn't ever pin it down. I also want to make it very clear that Stephanie has so much of this blame to share, but Drew would win a gold medal if being a deadbeat dad was an Olympic sport. During this time, he is in 2 active legal battles with his baby mamas. You see, Drew has 2 other baby mamas besides Stephanie. A woman named Arlita who has claimed Drew is not paying child support for their kid together, and then there's his second baby mama, Desiree, who is seeking the custody of one of the children living with Stephanie and Drew currently, a child that her and Drew share. It's all a big shit show, especially now that Drew had all these legal troubles with past baby mamas, and I think that's what got to Stephanie. That's what initiated this period of time that we're about to enter, one where Stephanie acted like she was going to leave Drew, and I think she did this for numerous reasons. One, because she was pretty sure he was doing something during all of that gig work, and number 2, that she could solicit a bunch of money from her audience. She would drag Drew onto her TikTok lives to talk about their relationship and threaten to leave Drew, which usually backfired by him saying she could go, he just didn't care.
I never should have not had the support back before it turned into court matters when your exes popped up. Like, I wish you would have said something then, because now we have all this like, oh, you can't speak, you can't clear the air on stuff that has not shit to do with me, and I don't appreciate it. And that's another thing that makes me want to just pack up and go, and I don't know what you got to say about it.
About me supporting you more?
Yeah.
I told you already. Inside. With Addie.
Right, so then say it.
That I'm gonna work on being more supportive.
I don't know what that looks like, because that's something
Do you think I know what that looks like either?
I highly doubt the legitimacy of her claims that she would leave. The amount of shit that she's taken online for Drew already is astronomical. She is like the only person that defends his actions, the only person who thinks he's some kind of super dad. But sadly, things just weren't panning out for Drew. This post from his social media reads, "Gig work has been slow these past couple days. I think it's time to catch up on things I enjoy. Cooking, cleaning, and gaming." Yeah, Drew, I'm sure that there have been little to no DoorDash orders in your area. Time to hop back on that PlayStation, buddy. I've seen you clean a couple of times, but I think you and Stephanie enjoy that after a little bit of recreational usage. Something which more and more proof of accumulates by the day. And on the very slight chance that you're listening, Stephanie messes with your food when she's angry at you. I've seen her throw tons of pepper into something out of spite. For you. Keep in mind this meal is served to the entire family. I think it goes without saying, but this is an extremely unstable environment. Made even worse when you realize that they have to pack everything up out of this motel room and occasionally move to another one. These motels that they stay at are part of some kind of program. I am unsure on the exact details, but I do know that multiple times a month they have to pack up everything and move to another space, which is quite the process and usually puts Stephanie in a foul mood.
How could she? I could never share some of the things she does about herself. I mean, like, why? Because you're not human as well? Really, it doesn't make any sense to me. There's not anything I've done or been through throughout my life that I'm too ashamed for anybody to know about me because I'm perfectly freaking human, just like the rest of us. I guess I should say the rest of you. I'm heavy on that. I stay too focused on myself to worry about what the next person's doing, and I don't know why more people can't just foster that kind of mentality.
Stephanie was also feeding into the hate exponentially more during these days. It seemed like every video that she made had some kind of message to the haters, and it also seemed like she was hyper aware of the things that they were criticizing. So it's not shocking that this was the time that Stephanie decided to start her quote-unquote self-care journey, claiming that as a mom she had just been spending too much time on the kids, not enough on herself, which caused her to create a series of videos of this self-care.
This mama of 5 who's trying to prioritize a little bit of self-care routine before the kiddos get up, because for the last 3 years I really haven't been doing so and my face is showing it. Up until now, I've just been that mom that just rolls out of bed as soon as I hear one of my kiddos wake up and I just start the morning. But after operating with my cup being bone dry for the past 3 months, maybe more like 2 years. But let me shut up and have the birds do the talking here. I don't know how to do this. I'm just kidding. Alright, somehow I made it through the shower routine, skincare routine. Well, what I do for a little skincare routine, which is basically just wash my face and do a little moisturizer, which you saw. But anyways, now we're back in the motel room and the kids are still asleep somehow. And I was able to do my lung detox, have a little granola, true crime time before the kids actually woke up. Every time I take this lung detox, the same sound comes to mind, that I knew you was lying. I knew you was lying, because no way people are actually claiming this stuff has no taste. To me, it definitely do, and it's off-putting. But I've only taken it twice, and it's definitely working. It's working a lot better than the one that I had previously, which I got off the Zon, and it wasn't green like this one, so maybe it wasn't even the real thing. I don't know, but this one's working.
People found her methods of workout particularly interesting. Why not just take all the kids on a walk, Stephanie? You already have them cooped up in that room like chickens all day. But no, she would rather sprint in the front yard of the motel. Completely sober, guys. That's right. Completely sober, and Drew is a good dad. When Stephanie goes out to the car to record a video for 10 minutes, Drew can totally watch the kids. It's not like even that minuscule amount of time is torture to him.
What's up?
I just didn't know you were coming out here.
Okay, well, I thought we... Okay. Just talked about it, but okay. I just want to just keep doing me and moving on. You know what I'm saying? And maybe I've just kind of reached that point a little bit younger than expected. I just feel like everybody has bits of themselves that maybe they don't want to share, and I don't know why, because we're all human.
Can you pause that, these kids?
Okay, 1 second. Hold on.
Stephanie is live, currently doing the biggest thing that generates the family income, and Drew can't even watch the kids for a half hour while she does that. They're probably too loud for him to play PlayStation, but honestly, the kids are probably better off without his company, because this is how Drew talks to them when he thinks the microphone is muted.
Turn around. All the way. You too, monkey ass. Y'all think I can? You're fucking like a mosquito. Stop! Don't do that while I'm here. Don't.
Yeah, Drew, I'm sure telling your infant son to stop crying sternly is gonna work. Don't do that when I'm here. I gotta keep my bias out of this. I'm sorry. I know that it's kind of been one of those where sometimes you can tell I'm a little bit more riled up. But there is just something about Stephanie and Drew Jenkins, particularly the way that they treat their children, that makes it very hard to keep this video steering in the right direction. I think if I could all sum this up with one word, it would be disgust. I'll just leave it at that and move on. One of the things that shocked me most during my research into this video was finding out the truth behind Drew's family. Even his own family do not agree with the way that he is raising these children and behaving as a man. I know it may be hard to believe by the way that he acts, but Drew was raised in a good family, where he had support systems and role models, something that he has not provided for his own children. And Drew's very own sister would speak up about all of this in a TikTok that she posted herself.
Hi TikTok, this is Andrew's little sister. We grew up in the same household, same mom, same dad. That is us in the top left. There's kids. I am close with Arlita and my nephew, and I was on her live last night just clearing the air of my family. I have not said anything up until this point because he's really just destroyed his own name, but now he is trying to drag my family into the mud. My dad is deceased and has been since 2017. That is me and him at the Oregon Duck games in the bottom right. He was an amazing man. So despite whatever you were told, that is completely false. But I mean, go off. My mom is Puerto Rican. My dad is black. My grandmother, who is full Puerto Rican, is in the top right. That's my brother with her in Miami on a family vacation that we took. We took family vacations every year. If we didn't go visit family in Miami or New Jersey or North Carolina, we would go camping at a KOA or drive somewhere and go tent camping. We've also been to Disney World. My dad was a wonderful dad and did everything he could to give us a great life. My mother as well. That is us at the bottom left. Me at, 4 or 5 years old. My brother is to the right of me, I guess facing the picture to my right, in the striped shirt. He's 4 years older than me. That was, again, another trip we took to North Carolina to visit my cousins, which are the two gentlemen you see behind me on the other side in the green shirt and the yellow shirt. I just wanted to come on here and clear the air. I did my best to clear the air and answer as many questions as I could last night. But there's a million questions out there. There's a million lies out there. My brother does not have autism. He's never been diagnosed with autism. He does not have epilepsy. Epilepsy only runs on the women's side of my family. My mother has it, and it stopped with her. My grandmother has it. She is deceased as well as of March. Rest in peace. I appreciate all of you guys who had tuned in last night to our live just to get to know me for a second. I'm not used to doing any of this, but it was necessary because my family's name is involved and we share a last name, and I refuse to let that be dragged through the mud any more than it already has been, especially when it comes to our upbringing. We did not grow up rough. We did not grow up abused. He was not neglected. We lived a great life. My family did their best. My parents did their best, and I am happy with the way we were raised. I'm happy with the way we were disciplined, which was very minor. We were not abused. We got spanked every once in a while, but we got talked to. My dad poured words and love into us, not anger and abuse and mistreatment. That was not the case. My mother either.
Drew's sister says that their dad was great, and that he worked very hard to provide them the life that they were afforded. They were able to go to Disney World, have birthday parties, live a nice middle-class life. Stephanie was also raised in a good home, financially much better off than she is, and that in and of itself is not wrong. Times have changed, but personally, what I believe is wrong is doing nothing to improve the situation. Neither of them have jobs or intentions of changing their living conditions. The resilient Jenkins want to act like it's how much you make, that people are critical of them simply because they are poor, when it's really how hard you work, especially as a parent for your family. It turns out that Drew was spending his time in a much different way. It turned out that Drew was messaging other women, but the public wouldn't know about it until a TikTok account came forward, ironically naming themselves Drew's Side Piece, and she would release a number of lewd text messages between her and Drew. I can't read very many of them because they're extremely graphic. Let's just say that Drew is really into feet, but I will read you some, and it's what I consider to be the funniest part. Our code word is PSN. That means no more texts. I love pretty feet. Makes so quick. At first, Drew's obsession with his PlayStation was comical, but it's actually starting to concern me. Like I said, these are just a couple of messages. Drew's side piece would release almost all of their conversations, and I also want to reiterate that it was very obvious she was a troll. Drew just did not give a shit. I think that he is so done with Stephanie, and contrary to what Stephanie might be having some people believe, she is not done with Drew. These texts between Drew and another woman, and Stephanie's talks of leaving Drew line up pretty perfectly. What I'm trying to say is I think Stephanie made those threats just to try to scare Drew away from this other woman, which didn't work. And I'm sure you could also guess that Stephanie denied the entire thing, once again turning into Drew's greatest cheerleader, and drumming up more controversy to draw attention away from that particular situation. I think that this is part of the reason why they picked now to start a GoFundMe, and they claimed that it would be used primarily for legal expenses. Like I said earlier in the video, Drew is having legal troubles with both of his previous baby mamas, one coming after him for back child support, and the other wanting custody of her son. I have little to no faith that any money given to her on this GoFundMe will actually go to lawyers, but I'm kind of shocked that they didn't try something like this sooner. The old Tofia Chew special. One other interesting side effect of Drew's legal troubles with his baby mamas is that he has been required to get a job so that he can pay Arlita child support. To my understanding, he works nights at a local grocery store stocking shelves, and he's been very sure to inform everyone that he has employment, flexing it as if it's not a basic requirement of most people. Another thing that Drew was flexing were his paid child support bills, as if it all just instantly absolves him, like he didn't have to go to court and miss court numerous times before being forced to find employment or face the possibility of jail time. Drew really does live up to the name Resilient Jenkins, except his resiliency seems to be towards fatherly responsibility or gainful employment or even taking good care of your pets. I know that that's not the best segue, but I actually have some good news for this part of the video. If you watched my previous cover coverage of the resilient Jenkins, then you'd know they used to have some cats, and that when they moved, they basically just let them all out into the streets. Well, one of Stephanie and Drew's cats, Milo, was in really bad shape, even before Stephanie made him astray. Half of the fur covering Milo's body was gone, and like I said, this had been the case for quite some time. So when people found out what Stephanie did, they were extremely concerned for Milo, one of them actually taking to the streets and finding him. Well, I'm happy to report that this person adopted Milo and they are now back at full health. And real quickly, I just want to show you a before and after video of Milo. It might be hard for some people to watch, I'm giving you a fair warning, but I think it's important for people to see his condition, before and after Stephanie. I think that these images perfectly sum up the living conditions of the Jenkins family. The truth that Stephanie tries so very hardly to cover, that these living conditions are not feasible for animals or children. The video you see on screen right now is Stephanie cleaning her youngest child's teddy bear. I would just let it play, but she had another one of her children narrate it, and another reason is it's just so sad. As the tub continues to turn more and more the color of a muddy puddle, the kid is happily narrating, and I don't know what it was about the combination of them that made it just so depressing. That this bear was so dirty it might as well have just finished up roughing in plumbing, or that her son viewed this as completely normal, just another part of his day. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that Stephanie and Drew Jenkins are some of the worst parents that I have ever seen on social media. Parading their children in front of the camera, living out of a single room motel, exposing all of your dirty laundry, literally and physically, to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. Just another day in the life of the repulsive Jenkins.